What up, Nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake Nation podcast. Is this episode 5, Joe?
I think it is.
I think it is episode 5. Episode 5, CK013, joined by the triple OG of the WiseTake Nation, Mr. Patio Joe. You can find him on Twitter at Patio Joe Rep. You can find us at WiseTake.com. Making better DFS players by the day. Talking about sports by night. It's just, talking about it, recapping, It sounded way cooler in my head. It came out very, very corny and cheesy. Anyway, Joey, how you doing, bro? How's the weekend?
It was good, man. The weekend. It was a long weekend. It started off on Thursday. My referee season started off. I had 2 games on Thursday, and then Friday night I had another game that was actually online. Somewhere you could, if you wanted to check it out. My game was online, and then Saturday I went to the Dodgers-Yankees game. That was the one game that they won. Go Dodgers! And then today I had 2 fantasy football drafts, and then tomorrow I have another one also. But today was 2 fantasy football drafts too. Shout out to my wife all weekend for being a trooper and taking care of the kids most of the time while I was doing my thing.
Well, you were just out there having a blast.
Yeah. Trust me, it was like a strip club in our bedroom last night. I was giving her lessons, all right? I was doing, it was like the champagne room. Trust me, like Stevie Brown would have been like, oh my God, this is what goes on in strip clubs? And I'd be like, yes, this is what goes on. I gave her, it was the champagne room for her, all right? That's what it was last night because I was very appreciative.
Right.
Right.
There you go, Joe.
Last week's episode was wild.
Last week's episode was wild, yeah. Yeah, it was wild. It got off a little off the rails. Like we plan on talking mostly about sports, but every once in a while, it's like, because you can only talk about baseball so much, right, Joe? It's like, you know what I mean? The good news is that we have a lot of football to talk about, man. And the season's coming, dude. We just had week 3 of preseason, so we get one more week, and that's it. It's go time, man. Super excited for week 1. You and I both had our main fantasy drafts this weekend. My weekend was also eventful. It was pretty awesome. Took my wife to see Tame Impala. It's a band she likes. Down to Philly at the Man. That was fun. Took her there as a little present, a little gift. Saturday, hit up the Top Golf, man. That was cool. That place is awesome. That place is awesome. You ever been at Top Golf? You gone there?
I've been wanting to go to a Top Golf, but there's none in LA.
What? That's wild.
There's none in LA.
That's wild.
Yeah, there's none in LA that I'm pretty sure there's none. There's some in Vegas and there's some in Scottsdale, and I've wanted to go. I'm not a huge golf guy, but I just still feel like even if you're not a golf person, you're gonna have fun.
It's fun, bro. I'm not. I don't know how to golf. I'm terrible at it. This was like the 3rd time that I've gone to Top Golf. This is the 3rd time that I've touched a proper golf driver. Like I've like fucked around with like. I'm a lefty, and I fucked around with like some dude, like some righty clubs or something, and it's not nearly the same experience. But like I've technically hit a golf ball before, but Top Golf is fun, dude. Like the only problem is you sit there, stuff your face, and then afterwards, after eating and then playing, it's like it's a little uncomfortable. But the beforehand stuff, this actual playing stuff, is fun, man. I could see why people want to hit those things like. A little awkward at first, not to hit the ground and, not bending your elbow, but it's fun, man. I understand why people like golf. I get it. It is fun. One day. I'd say what, man, after you hit like 6 or 7 of them things in a row, man, your forearms start to hurt a little bit too. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
A little fatigue started to set in there a little bit. Anyway, Joe, I guess we'll start off with like the biggest shock, I think. And we saw like a lot of people had their drafts over the weekend. What's his name? Lamar Miller like tore his ACL, and there were so many people who ended up drafting him. Granted, he was a later pick, but there were a lot of people who did kind of bank on him and think they were getting somewhat secure back as far as opportunities every week, and he's gone. So we're thinking that's like the biggest shock post drafts, right? And then Andrew Luck retires. Like just nuts. Just Andrew Luck just like retires 2 weeks before the start of the regular season. Joey, what does this do? Obviously, it's a negative for most of these players, but what does this do for like the guys who picked T.Y. Hilton, Jack Doyle, Eric Ebron, some of the receiving, even Marlon Mack and these guys. Like, what did Andrew Luck retiring just do to those players?
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, I think that it drove down their value both in, T.Y. Hilton definitely is down. And I was in a draft today, and Ebron or Jack Doyle both weren't picked. Marlon Mack was picked in the second round, but that was a little bit high in my opinion. But you might think that they might run the ball more now that they're going to have Brissett. But Brissett was decent for that one season that he was in there already. So I don't think that they're going to be a doormat. So I think that T.Y. Hilton is going to have some weeks where he's going to be very, very, popular, going to have some very good weeks, but then there's going to be some weeks where he's just going to kind of go away, so where you can't really rely on him that much week to week. So in DFS, he's a total GPP play, unless obviously Brissett shows that it's just him and, shows us something else, week one. But I got a feeling it definitely hurts everybody on the offense's value. It might boost Max a little bit if you want to look at it that way, just because they might rely on the run more. But nobody else. Hilton went a little bit lower. Everybody their ADP seems to be dropping because of that. And on the other side, with Lamar Miller being hurt, obviously everybody was talking about Duke Johnson now. And I'm in on Duke Johnson. However, there's talent there, and everybody's liked him, and they wondered why in Cleveland he didn't get more of an opportunity, being University of Miami's leading rusher. But my thing is draft Duke Johnson, knowing that in 4 days or 5 days, when they do the round of cuts in the NFL, and somebody like Carlos Hyde is a cut, or some other veteran running back cut, the Texans are going to swoop them up, and he's going to take away some of Duke Johnson's production. I still think Duke's going to be the lead guy, and I think you should boost him up. But I do think that, let's not just slot him in for, feature role back now because there's nobody else behind him. They're going to sign somebody or trade for somebody, which we could talk about. I mean, people say Melvin Gordon. I don't think that's going to happen. The guy I probably would be looking for is maybe Adrian Peterson. I think you could get him for a 1-year rental, and he would be decent. He's from Texas, and I think that the Redskins kind of want to move away from AP and go to Darius Geis. But that's just my 2 cents on who I would maybe trade for if I was the Texans.
Interesting. Yeah, it's like you said. Your draft was Sunday, I think, right? So those injuries had already happened. My draft was Saturday, so it was like there are dudes who are just bombshells just getting dropped on their world, like on their lives. Like, like Lamar Miller, boom. And then Andrew Luck, boom. T.Y. Hilton's value, boom. Cause T.Y. Hilton becomes like you said in DFS, a GPP play on certain weeks, but he essentially becomes a guy you really only want to use when he's home for the most part. The targets are going to be there, you would think, but he's a player who's typically been way more reliable at home, and it's if you remember that year with Jacoby Brissett, it was like a wild ride. There were some weeks where he was winning you the slate, he was winning you the week, and then there were most in between where he was having a hard time hitting any sort of value. But yeah, I don't know, man. We'll have to see. The offensive line supposedly was improved, so that could be good because Brissett, when he was there, in his defense, Brissett also had a terrible offensive line. The same terrible offensive line that Luck had all those years. Supposedly there's some upgrades made. We'll have to see. But I wonder if things will be different this time. The Ebron Doyle thing, I know a lot of that depends more on the coaching, what formations they run, what they decide to do. But it's now we went from having an idea last year of what the Colts were going to do to now we have to relearn everything and try to remember the tendencies of Brissett and try to figure out what was a real tendency and what was him just under pressure every single day. Because he did get beat up that year, right? He just got he was getting hit a ton. So as far as the Duke Johnson thing, I'm very curious to see how that plays out, man. I'm very curious to see that because you have to wonder. Duke Johnson was in Cleveland for a while. Like, there's got to be a reason that they didn't want him carrying the ball. They specifically wanted him to catch it. They specifically wanted him out there. So, and like Lamar Miller, like the way they used him, it's hard to envision them using Duke Johnson in that same capacity. They're like literally the opposite. That's why they went out and got him. He got him to fill a role that Lamar Miller couldn't fill. It's just hard to, I don't know. It's hard for me to envision them using him as like a, an every down back or like not in that role. And if you're gonna pick one, if there's gonna be one of you is gonna run, the other running back's gonna catch it. Like, he's got to be the one that catches. That's the only thing he's proven he can do in the NFL level. So it's like, but maybe a snack count goes up. I don't know. We'll have to see about that. What is it? What going back to Andrew Luck, dude? The fans booed him. He got booed pretty hard. Curious to hear your thoughts. Some people are obviously saying it's justified. Fuck you. Like, their fantasy teams are screwed or whatever. But like Colts fans are genuinely upset, and some are like, thank you. It was great. And like, it's kind of a bittersweet situation because like, as much as he hasn't really done anything but been a good quarterback. He's carried them through seasons, but what has he won? You know what I'm saying? Like hadn't gotten there yet, right? And he locked up. He got a lot of money from those Colts to stay there. Took away from a lot of that's a lot of wasted years now. Money locked up. Walked away from 58 mil, I think, Joe. 58 mil.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
My thing is you ever, your first reaction to something maybe isn't necessarily the right reaction, but justified.
Sure.
I think that this is like you've just been dumped out of the blue. Like literally, even yet, you literally walked into the strip club and saw your girlfriend giving a lap dance and just said to like, your best friend and saying, "I'm gone, peace, bye." You know what I mean? Like, oh, like you're heartbroken. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's sad, and I think that was their justified reaction. They wanted to boo because like, what the hell? You're doing this 10 days before the season starts or whatever. Yeah. And we're upset. We want, we thought we had a good chance to go to the Super Bowl this year. Fans are short for what? Fanatic. Okay, you got to understand that.
Yeah.
And so, I think that in time, the people that boo or the people that criticize Andrew Luck will come to see, what exactly what he was, what he meant to the game. Doug Gottlieb is getting heat on Twitter saying about how like, basically paraphrase Luck's press conference by saying, rehabbing was just too hard for me, because all the injuries just mounted up, and it was the most millennial thing ever was to, rehab, something like that, to that effect. Rehabbing was too hard is the most millennial thing ever.
Yeah.
And so Doug Gottlieb is getting grief on that, and I agree. Give him grief because like, I'll tell you what. Let me ask you, I was thinking about this, CK. We were talking about this. Like, I refereed college football for the longest time, and you were in professional wrestling for a long time, and you dove headfirst into it, and you were into it. You were into the life, and then something happened probably, and you got hurt or something, and you were forced to take a step back. And when you took a step back, you probably enjoyed a little bit of that extra free time. You found a little bit more of yourself. And you found maybe some other things that maybe you wanted to do that would interest you more. And when you went back to it, you knew to yourself you maybe weren't into it as much as you were. Am I right or wrong? Yeah. Maybe a little.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What I'm saying, and for officiating, that's what happened to me. I was college officiating, and I dove headfirst into it. And you know what? I took a step back, and I realized, you know what? Like, it's not all it's made out to be. And I took a little break from it, and I never wanted to come back. And I'm never going to go back to college officiating because I don't need it. So I can understand that, like, he was hurt. He probably took a year off, and he probably, there's other things he wants to do in his life. So I don't, I don't like fault him at all. I think he probably still loves football, just like you love wrestling. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know what I'm saying? I just think that um, people's priorities change in life, and you could still love the game and be good at it and not want to play it anymore. You just don't, because he's been pushed to play football literally since birth.
Mm,
You can imagine that, like, he just probably wants out and he's just done and he's over it. And I completely understand it. If you're done with something, you're done.
yeah.
And it's done.
I completely agree, Joe. I don't blame him at all. I think he's a smart guy, right? Went to Stanford, you know what I mean? Like, let's think about where he comes from. Let's think about why he is where he is, you know? Like he's talented as all hell, but he's also very, very smart. And then that was one of the biggest things they liked about him. Everybody liked about him. And like you said, man, I know he got married recently, and you know, the when you sign that contract, you're so young, and like you've been so like tunnel vision in life to like make it here, and you sacrifice so much to get to that point. And like when you start to when you do get hurt the first couple times, and you get those little breaks where you have nothing else to do but like open your eyes to like the rest of the civilization, the rest of the world, and you get a little taste of like you said, enjoying something else. Like, you know what I mean? You know what, man, this golf thing is really cool, or whatever. Or like there's like different things you discover. And then you start to realize that, like, man, I'm in so much pain. I'm 29 years old, he's not even 30 years old, and he's in so much pain. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries myself on the same shoulder, same injury, and like it sucks. Like as you go on, and like to think about it from a professional athlete level, like to be expected to return back to the form you were and to resume your workload, and if actually increase your workload, because now even before your actual workout, there's these warm ups you have to do. So you're actually adding more workouts to warm up before your workout, and like adding more stress to the shoulder, mixing up all the scar tissue. I mean, every time you get cut open, man, you get the scar tissue in there. It's deep. It's like an iceberg, right? Like you see the scar up top, it's little, but underneath that, man, there's a lot of scar tissue down there. And you know, I think like I totally understand why he would walk away. I think it's like 58 mils, a lot of money. He's made a lot of money, and he's young enough to where he can go probably have another career. Went to Stanford, he's a smart guy. Like he can go find himself another career if he wants to. But at the same time, I don't fault the fans for booing, like you said, instantly, because it's like it's an emotional thing, right? Like you're emotionally attached to these teams. Like I think the example that I think about, like if Jacob deGrom just tomorrow was like, and the Mets are actually like working towards a wild card. This is perfect timing. If deGrom tomorrow was like, hey, I'm retiring, you know, like if he did it at Citi Field, just a game at Citi Field, hey guys, I'm retiring. I think that people would boo the shit out of him because like instantly, like you're so upset you just lost the best pitcher. Like you're not thinking about anything else but the team, and you're just devastated. So like you're just not happy, and you're just gonna boo whatever. Like you're just gonna boo anything, you know. But but say a week goes by, a few days go by, when everybody calms down, I think like 80-90% of those people that booed are gonna feel bad for booing and say, no, like he was awesome for us, we appreciate you, and do the thank you thing. And I think that's what the Colts fans are gonna do. But you can't blame, like you said, you can't blame fanatics for they just got stunned 2 weeks before the season. Like come on, like they just got like a lot of people were picking them as like their sleeper Super Bowl winners. And regardless of how ridiculous you may think that sounds, or whatever, if you believe in it, regardless, that is not happening now. Right? Like, like he was the only way that was ever even a thought. So, I don't blame the fans for booing. Like, it sucks that Luck got booed. I'm sure that felt like shit, but I mean, when you do something bold like what he did, you got to expect a bold response, right? Like, you didn't. It's not something you ever talked about. You could have retired like deeper into the off season to where like people had time for it to sink in. You retired 2 weeks before the season. You know what I mean? Like everybody, like you know how many people just bought your jersey this year? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like the start of a new season. I'm buying me a Colt Andrew lecture. Let's go, and then not no. You know, like I can understand why people are upset, but ultimately, I do think most will, you know, be happy for him, and you know, all that kind of. What do you think this means for the league, dude? All these running, like Le'Veon Bell, right? He's starting to set this trend for guaranteed money. You know what I'm saying? This shit, like, but like, you have to think with things like this happening, and more people deciding to retire earlier, and the concussion scares, and all these things that are out there, all these people that are, you know, like the NFL is like slightly taking that NBA-ish approach, where the NBA players kind of demand what they want. The NFL is starting to kind of go there in their own way, and granted, so far it's been about money. But like, think about it: demanding trades. Melvin Gordon, I think you said, demanded a trade when they couldn't come to an agreement. Antonio Brown made it very clear he wanted out of out of Pittsburgh. And it's just like, what do you think? Like, where do you think the NFL is like heading at this point with the players?
Well, I mean, it's tough. I think they might be heading to some sort of a work stoppage, and maybe some things got to give at some point, and I think you could happen the slowly erosion of football and the talent of football, and people stopping to play football as much because numbers are down in the high school levels. People are not playing football as much as they were before. So I think that it's just one of the things that are happening. The running backs aren't very, they don't mean much anymore. And so I think you're seeing like Todd Gurley is probably going to be the highest contract ever given for a running back because it happened to him. So I just think that it's really tough, and I see the game changing, and it's going to become where I think the players are going to have to take some sort of a hard stand. Like I said, we've been talking about it since maybe we've started the weekly podcasts that Le'Veon Bell is like the guinea pig for sitting out. If he doesn't do well, that's going to shy other players to go away. But if he does well, then more players are going to sit out. My thing is both in the cases of Zeke Elliott and with Melvin Gordon is if they sit out this year, they don't accrue a year of service time. So it's not like they're going to become a free agent any sooner. And in Zeke Elliott's case, he has 2 years left on his contract. So I just think before week one, I think Zeke's going to sign. I still don't think he wanted to go to training camp. Week two, I think though that Gordon might not come back till like week 10.
Wow, no shit.
That's what I. Yeah, so he gets the accrue the time, but yet isn't playing the whole year.
Yeah,
and then I think he's a free agent after next year or something. So. But if that happens, fantasy wise, if you're drafting him, Melvin Gordon sits out 10 weeks. Their bye week is in week 12. And then week 13 is the last week of your regular season. And then, okay, so you'll have Melvin Gordon for the playoffs, you hope. You don't know what's going to be happening in the NFL by then. You don't know how more injuries might happen to the Chargers O-line or something, and they're not even in it anymore, or he might fit in just great. I just think that, another funny thing is that, the minute that Lamar Miller gets down, people are like, oh, they're going to trade for Melvin Gordon. Like the Chargers were sitting by their phone waiting for somebody to get hurt, trade Melvin. It's just ludicrous to think, oh yeah, now they're gonna make out a trade.
Right.
Gordon just wants to be taken care of, and I just don't. I think the running backs right now are in a really tough spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's clear that the running backs use Le'Veon Bell and his contract. So when Le'Veon Bell signed his contract, like, I think most of the stuff that I saw from like a casual sports fan was like, Le'Veon Bell's an idiot. He got the same deal. He got less money than he was gonna get in Pittsburgh, and like Le'Veon Bell's defense was like, no, I won because my money's now guaranteed. In Pittsburgh, it was like mostly incentive based, and if I got hurt, I would have got nothing. And now if I get hurt, I'm getting my money. And so, like, that was like the great debate. And like now, running back. So, like you said, the ultimate test is to see how Le'Veon Bell performs this year, right? Because let's see if he can back it up. But in the meantime, these running backs are using whatever leverage they have with the unknown. Everybody's assuming Le'Veon Bell is good to go and he's back and he's going to be great. So before he has a chance to prove it, they're all being vocal and they're all trying to demand these things that are just like, like, I'm going to do what he did. Why not? If it doesn't work, either I get a year off or I make my mind on that. Zeke is kind of pigeonholed, right? He's got 2 years left on his contract. Like, there's not much you could really do, guy. Like, I agree with you.
And Melvin Gordon isn't Zeke either. Right. Melvin Gordon is not a top 5 back talent-wise.
Right.
He just isn't. I'm sorry.
Right.
You know what I mean? He just isn't.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I just don't know what's going to happen. It's tough.
Yeah. Oh, it's very tough.
It's tough.
We both had our fantasy football drafts, Joe.
Yes, we did.
We did. I know you had two. I only do one that I actually like stay involved in and diligently work at. I'll tell you something about mine, but I want to hear about yours, man. If you tell me about yours, I'll tell you about mine. How did your drafts
All
go,
right.
bro?
Okay, so my main fantasy draft tonight was my main league, the league that it's probably about my home league. I guess it's 18 years, 17, 18 years we've been in it. So we're a keeper league. My keeper was Alvin Kamara, but it cost me a second round pick. So my first round pick, I had the seventh spot, and I went out with Julio Jones. The guys picked before Julio was Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, David Johnson, Lev Bell, Hopkins, Juju, and then my spot was 7. Um,
Sam.
McCaffrey was just to let you know, McCaffrey and Connor and Adams were also keepers also, so they were off the board. So at that point, my thought was I was looking at 3 players. One was Julio, one was Nick Chubb, and the other one was Travis Kelce. And I went with Julio just because I just liked the way that my teams, when I was doing mock drafts, kind of looked after that. And Julio, if like we were talking before the show, if the touchdown pendulum ever swings his way and he gets, 10 to 15 touchdowns, he's going to blow away everybody else as as the best wide receiver in the league. So he has 13 of 16 games in a dome this year. I will take that every single time. He was Paulie D's number 1 receiver on his article that he wrote for the WiseTake Nation that everybody should check out. Julio Jones was his number 1 receiver. Second round, obviously, I had Kamara. Third round, I went back to running back, and I got the rookie David Montgomery from the Bears. I'm just really like his upside. I'm liking everything that I'm hearing out of Bears camp. And don't worry, I'm a big believer in handcuffing guys, so I did later on in the draft get Mike Davis as well as Latavius Murray just in case Kamara goes down. I'm a big believer, guys, in handcuffing your running backs because your running backs are your starters. So if they go down, you don't want to have to work the waiver wire. You want to already have their backup ready to go, and their backup will have great value if they do get hurt. And you like the system that you draft the running back in. You don't like the player. Part of the reason why Zeke Elliott is so good is because he's got a great line and a great system. If Zeke holds out, Tony Pollard is going to be a very productive back because the system is good, not because he is a great back. You just slot in the right back, it's in the right system, and he's going to be productive. That's why I like it. So other guys I picked, I won't name them all, but 4th round, I went with Mark Ingram. 5th round, I wanted one of 3 tight ends if they were there. One of Evan Ingram, O.J. Howard, and Hunter Henry. Evan Ingram was off the board. I got O.J. Howard, so I like that. 6th round, was when I picked up Murray as the handcuff because I really just didn't anything like this. And then I waited until the last round to pick a quarterback, to which I got Jameis Winston as my last pick of the draft, or as my last round pick. So you can wait on quarterbacks, guys, if you're in a 1 quarterback league.
Yeah, quarterback is wow, 1 quarterback league. Quarterback is super deep, right? Like of course there's your elites like the Patrick Mahomes, of course, but like aside from that, I do think it's relatively deep. So Joey, tell me who your starting lineup is week 1 as of right now. What's your starting lineup look like?
For my team is going to be, let's see, we'll have Jameis be my quarterback. We'll have Julio as my receiver, and my other receiver will be probably Christian Kirk. I also have Sterling Shepard. My running backs are Kamara, David Montgomery, Mark Ingram. O.J. Howard is my tight end. My kicker is Giorgio Tavecchio, the Italiano, in Atlanta's offense, and then I have Dallas D going up at home against Paulie D's Giants. My bench players, though, I got Dante Moncrief, who I think is the number 2 receiver in Pittsburgh's offense. So he's the juju of of the offense. So hopefully he will be very productive.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. My draft was, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about it, and I had to completely listen. I didn't like. I prepped to a degree. We've talked a lot of fantasy football. You and I, me and Paulie, the three of us. We've talked a lot about. We're very, very excited. Football's coming. So I had like a strategy in mind, and in my league, I didn't know where I was picking until like the day of. It was just like I said, I did a lot this weekend. I just totally forgot it was this weekend, and I was one of the few guys doing it remotely. The rest of them were all in a location, but I'm antisocial as fuck, and I had to work. So, Anyway, decided it was a good idea to go out and go fishing, Joe, because I've been getting into fishing lately. It's fun. Get out there, enjoy the weather. And I look down, a little text message, and I see a reminder that the draft is in 30 minutes, and I'm like, shit. I'm about 40 minutes away from my house at that time. So race home, race home. Smell like shit from grabbing the fish and shit. And get in there, get in the house. Open my computer up. Don't even know where I'm drafting. Nothing. Don't know any of this yet because I was supposed to already be there, like ready. And I look up. I got 8 seconds to make a pick. I'm the 8th pick. I got 8 seconds to make a pick. I have no idea who's already been taken, where they've been taken, anything. Just like I just freaked, and I ended up taking Todd Gurley because like I saw the board real quick, and his name stood out as okay, yeah, he's still there, and I just was just like, hey, let's go, Todd Gurley, and then like. I'm not like angry about it. It's whatever. My whole team is very boomer busty. I've got all like risk players, like high upside risk players. And once I took Todd Gurley, that kind of set the tone. I was like, all right, this is what I'm doing now. I'm going to be looking for like the guys that should be going higher based off their name, but aren't because people are down on them this year for whatever reason. So guys I have, I'm not gonna go over the full draft, but basically, what I ended up with, Joey, is I've got Todd Gurley, Juju, right, hoping to take advantage of the Antonio Brown deal. I got Antonio Brown, who nobody wanted to take. I'm not really worried a ton about Antonio Brown. We talked about this on previous shows. The volume should be there. He's like the only guy that they have at this point, right? So like the volume should definitely be there. So I feel pretty good about him. I got Robert Woods as as another receiver. So like all in all, like you can see, it's all guys that are kind of like. I was surprised when these guys were there. A lot of them, like some of the guys going before these dudes. Now here's one I want your opinion on. There was just like he was the one I felt the most comfortable with, but I did go with Tyreek Cohen. Right now he's my RB2. Now this is funny. I got Tyreek Cohen. I've got Kenyon Drake and LaShawn McCoy just kind of sitting on my bench. They were just there. I didn't feel like totally safe with Tyreek because I'm worried, similarly to Duke Johnson. I just don't see Tyreek in that every down back role, and that worries me a bit. So I got these guys that I think the volume will be a little bit more, there. Just maybe not the ceiling or opportunity, but the volume, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Tyreek Cohen this year, Joe?
Is this a PPR league?
Yes.
Well, it's fine.
Yeah.
He has a standalone value. He's going to be fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with him at all.
I just worry about I mean, I guess what's the worry? He's basically a receiver, right? It's basically what he is.
He's a third down back. He's kind of like the Tyreek. He's a Tyreek Hill type of person in that
he's
same
explosive
offense.
Right.
Matt Nagy came from Kansas City, so I think that's what his role is. Montgomery they're in love with Montgomery, but I doubt that Tyreek Cohen's just going to all of a sudden not have a role anymore.
Right. Well, I don't know. I definitely think he'll have a role. I just worry that I just worry that he may be a little more game flow dependent than I'm hoping. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, they might get down because I think if they get up, the good defense, they're grinding it out. If David Montgomery is as good as they think this kid's going to be,
right.
then he'll get phased out.
Yeah, we'll see the Jordan Howard role, and we'll only see him on pass plays. So on games where they get ahead, Cohen just may not get the chance. Because
Yeah.
I just don't see them using him to run between. He's too small. I just don't see them using him as like that type of role. So it's going to be somewhat game flow dependent, but
Mhm.
we'll see. We shall see. Shady McCoy, man. What's your thoughts there? There was a rumor. I don't know if I even believe it, but there was a rumor that he was supposed to get. He almost got cut in training camp. I don't even know if I believe that because like I look behind him and I'm like, did they have Yeldon and some of these guys? I just didn't see a ton. But where are you at with LaShawn McCoy, man? He kind of just fell on my lap, and like again, like I drafted a couple dudes that had like all boomer bust type deals, hoping like one of them sticks between Kenyon Drake, this guy
Mhm.
and LaShawn McCoy, whatever. Hoping one of them sticks, and then I just slide them in the rest of the year, and they carry me to the promised land. Like,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on the chances that LaShawn McCoy is that guy?
Well, I think McCoy could be, he like in my draft, I picked Peyton Barber.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's even like lower than McCoy.
Right.
But my point is that they're just not flashy, but they're going to get carries. They're going to be involved in the offense.
Right. So
So, like
they'll
I
get the
know that they have,
opportunities. Right.
yeah, they'll get the opportunities in the beginning.
Yeah.
So maybe you only play him in the first few weeks and then you get rid of him.
Right.
Because right now Drake is kind of hurt and Balaj is ahead of him, but I probably by the end of the season I think it's going to be switched.
Right.
So that's the way I would go for it.
Right.
I think it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm with you. I figure at least one of those things hit. You know what I mean? Figure at least one of those things hit. But
people in the chat want to know our Super Bowl picks.
Super Bowl picks.
Yeah, E.
Oh
Millie wants to know our
God.
Super Bowl picks.
Oh God. Who's going to the Super Bowl? I mean, like, if it's like this, if it's anybody, like I could pick anybody. I'm gonna say the New England
Mhm.
Patriots. I think that
Mhm.
Sonny Michel is going to be better. I expect him to be better. And I think that the Patriots are taking the ball out of Brady's hands to a degree, which will keep him healthier, keep him more fresh. And I think the Patriots are going to run the ball down people's throats. I really do. I think we're going to see a different type of, like last year, what we saw, a lot more of that. Like a lot more like just, we're going to pound you and control the clock and do dirties. And the Patriots are just pretty damn good at everything they do. So if money's not a thing, I know their odds probably suck balls, but they're like my obvious choice. Like I still don't see a team that I think will be the Patriots.
Mhm. If I have to go without the Patriots, I'm gonna say it's gonna be the Chiefs and the Eagles.
Ooh, Eagles. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a sneaky one. The Chiefs, I understand. The Eagles was sneaky. What's so high on the Eagles there, Joey? What's got you up there?
We have another quote. Who's going to step up for the tight end for the Pats? I'm hearing it's going to be Matt Lacoste.
Mm.
So that's what I think. I think it's going to be okay. I'm wondering, who's going to be, like the surprise team of the year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who's going to be the surprise team of the year? Who's the team that nobody's really talking about that's going to surprise everybody? It's hard. It's hard to wonder.
Yeah. No, I know. It's tough. It's tough to dig deep because before the season, everything looks great, dude. Like, make an argument for fucking, even I look at my Jets and I'm like, Sam Darnold's in his second year. He looks great in the preseason. We got Le'Veon Bell. We've got Robbie Anderson. We've got, and then but you kind of ignore like, oh man, shit, they have like no secondary. And like if they have a good pass rush, but if they don't get to that quarterback, these cornerbacks are going to get destroyed by the league. So that's the kind of stuff people like kind of don't see about their team, the weaknesses, but everybody sees the strengths. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think defense is still extremely important. So I do value the teams that do have a good defense, and I worry about the teams that don't. I mean, how do you not? I'm the most curious to see how the Browns actually do. And I know that's kind of an obvious take. It's nothing crazy, but I'm very, very curious to see how the Browns do. OBJ went fairly high in all drafts. And for good reason, is Odell Beckham, but like I saw him in some drafts being taken over like some decent running backs, and like I'm still a little old school, but like I do prefer to try to secure a star running back, at least one. You know what I'm saying? And I was a little shocked to see so many people just so willing to attempt OBJ over some of these guys. Like, I don't know. Strange.
Well, when he's right, they think he can be, the man. So it's interesting to see how they do. How they're going to be, because now it's easy to sneak up on people, but once there is, expectations,
right?
Now there's pressure. How you gonna react to that?
Yeah. You think everybody will be running to the waiver wire for Fitzpatrick or what this year?
No.
Nah. Yes.
Nah, I don't think so. You know why? Because there's so many quarterbacks out there. Like,
I know.
Like, I was seriously considering on not even taking a quarterback in my home league and just waiting for a few more days to see, like, maybe somebody else gets hurt. I can keep an extra player or whatever for a few more days, because, like, the quarterbacks that are still, like, on the waiver wire just from my league alone, we just voted today to switch our league next year to be a two-quarterback league. We're going to be a super flex league because it's just ridiculous. The quarterbacks that are still available are Rivers, Cousins, Trubisky, Carr, Stafford, Keenum, Josh Allen.
Because it's a one quarterback deal, so all those guys.
One quarterback league. Yeah. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if last year in my league, I played 7 quarterbacks the entire year, and I personally think, I've said this all year, when we play DFS helps you way more in seasonal than you have any idea, because you can stream so much easier because you're forced to know all the players,
right,
so going into the week who has the best matchup against the worst pass defense, and that quarterback most likely could be on the waiver wire,
right?
So snatch him up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And start that guy.
Oh yeah,
and you want a quarterback, like today in the draft, somebody drafted a second quarterback, and he goes, "Well, that's so I can have him for trade bait," and literally he got laughed out of the room.
Yeah. No,
you ain't gonna trade.
And if everybody's picking one quarterback, if you got freaking Cousins and these guys and Rivers on the fucking like free agent, like as like on the waiver wire already, like no, it's like there's literally no leverage in quarterbacks in your league. It's just too deep. Like it is. And like a 2 quarterback league, you start to get to nitty gritty. Like the top quarterback now, and I still think it's a decent opportunity this week. But Stafford is on the waiver wire, right? He's the best quarterback in my league that wasn't drafted, and like he's a guy that like, again, like you said, only a DFS player would even consider him, right? He's going up against Arizona, so like you might not need him for the season, but if you're looking for a good quarterback and a good matchup, I think he's a candidate, right? Arizona's planning on playing very fast, right? They're going to try to play fast, which is going to create more opportunities for Detroit. They'll probably be playing, if Arizona does well, they'll be playing from behind. They'll be throwing a lot. So, like, that's where, like, I see what you mean. Like, the DFS, that stuff, that's where it helps you right there. It's like, I'm looking at Stafford, like, you know what? I don't want Stafford for the season, but maybe I'll pick him up just for week 1 because his matchup is so juicy. And, I got Cam Newton on my bench. He might not play week 1 anyway, and I want to kind of feel him out, see what he's like. Let me just do the dirty with this one real quick, Just drop him. And if he does well, maybe try to trade him off to some schmuck, you know what I mean? Hit him up like, yo, Stafford's going to ball this year, bro. Let's go. Give me your running back, bro, right now.
Yeah, right now. But they're almost becoming like kickers, like if their bye week comes up, okay, just drop them, pick up somebody else, and then just stream the rest of the year. It's just it's crazy the way the game has changed, because in fantasy, the quarterback, especially if it's a 6-point touchdown quarterback, all you need is like 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, and you get 20 points. Right. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Because you're worrying about other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. No, I hear you, bro. I guess before we get out of here, Joe, I know you had mentioned wanting to take a look at FanDuel, maybe a little FanDuel team, just kind of, we're gonna do, for those of you who listen to us on the DFS side, we are gonna do an NFL Week 1 DFS podcast. We'll go much more in depth, talk about FanDuel and DraftKings and kind of dig in. But I'm down to just mess around, and just kind of go through FanDuel real quick and just like first look at, just get like a little feel ski. I haven't even looked at FanDuel. I play mostly on DraftKings, and so I've looked at DraftKings a couple times. I haven't even looked at FanDuel. So let's pull it up, Joey. Let's get down.
All right.
Let's get down with the hood team.
Honestly, like there's like two guys like I kind of just want to like kind of lock in right at the start. I feel like you just boom and go with that. It's like, to me, it's like probably Dalvin Cook at 7,400 as one, and then wide receiver Tyler Lockett at 6,800. I feel like Tyler Lockett at home with no DK Metcalf, and now the other guy Moore is out. He's gonna be he's the only guy in Seattle right now.
Yeah,
he's so peppered with target, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, he gets bombs too, man. Like Wilson's a deep boy right there, man. They go deep.
All right, so you go next. Who you want to pick? Quarterback, running back? You go.
So we've got who now? We've got
Dalvin Cook and Tyler Lockett. That's what I started us off with.
Okay. What do you think about your boy Eckler, man? How much is Eckler? 6,400, dude. What do you think? Against the Colts, right? Colts just lost Andrew Luck. I'm assuming Gordon's not going to be there, right? It doesn't seem like he will be. So, what do you think? Austin Eckler, 6,400 over here. I know, like, FanDuel is way more touchdown dependent than DraftKings. DraftKings more PPR type deal. But is he not supposed to be like the guy right now?
Yes, but I think he's also going to split carries with Justin Jackson.
Right. Yeah, I do expect him to split some. But I would think they'd give him first crack at the end zone. Like given the situation, if he just breaks an 80-yard run, they might take him out the next play, and that might suck because it might be on the goal line. But if it was like a methodical type of drive, and if it's like pounding, you know what I'm saying? Like if the Colts do struggle against the Chargers without Andrew Luck, I could see Eckler getting just the volume, just getting there on volume, because like they were just killing the clock and they didn't really have to throw the ball tons. It was just first down, second downs for him, give third downs to the kid even. But I can just see it happening. Now if the game gets too out of hand, I could see it the other way. I could see them just letting the kid have fun. But what do you 6,400? What do you think at running back?
I mean, I would probably either go with Kerryon Johnson at 7,000 against the Arizona Cardinals, or Mark Ingram at 6,600.
I do like Kerryon Johnson.
Against the Dolphins.
Think about it. I do like Kerryon Johnson. That's a good call.
Yeah.
It's pretty big runs. Where are you at with Keenan Allen this year? What do you think? Where are you at with Keenan Allen, man?
I think Keenan Allen's going to be fine, but I'm just not. I'm thinking Mike Williams is going to be more of a. Because Keenan Allen's he's got an ankle injury right now, so I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you.
What about tight end? What do you like? Do you like Evan Ingram, or do you want to go maybe pay up a little bit and go to Kittle?
I do like Kittle a lot, man. I do like Kittle a lot because that game just looks juicy in general. And when you think about who Garoppolo is going to be throwing to, it's like it's not pretty over there. Goodwin is very cheap. Like if you wanted to do like a little stack of that game, I do prefer Winston a little more because that's just Tampa Bay's just always throwing the ball so much. I know Bruce Arians down there, so we'll see what they do. But I do prefer Winston when I look at the quarterbacks. But Garoppolo, like Goodwin and Kittle, is a pretty reasonable stack. Kittle's expensive, but Garoppolo and Goodwin kind of like equal it out for you a little bit. You know what I mean?
The way I would do it is if I wanted a piece of this game is I would go with Kittle.
Yeah.
At tight end, and then on the other side, I'm going with Chris Godwin.
Yeah, Godwin. Yeah, I do like Godwin.
At 6,900.
Yeah.
And then at that point, we still have a defensive flex, a wide receiver, and a quarterback. The defense is let's lock in our defense so then we kind of know what we have to play with for the rest of the day of the time. So We could go with Seattle at home against Cincinnati. They're the highest favorite on the board. Cincinnati, no AJ Green. Banged up offensive line on the road.
I can
4,500. The Seahawks.
I can dig it. Let's just do it.
I like that.
Sharp
Okay.
sevens all day.
Let's do that. That leaves us 6,700 for everything else. So at this point, I almost want to maybe find a value kind of receiver or a value player, so then we can pay up at one spot at the remaining spot. So where are we seeing a good value right now? I'm thinking if we wanted to go with a little bit of upside, I'm thinking maybe a John Brown out of Buffalo against the Jets.
Yeah, I don't mind that. The Jets secondary is going to be a little weak here, so sevens on that ass, you know.
All right, let's drop him. So then that leaves us 7,300 for a quarterback and another player. Quarterback week 1, you know, you kind of just want to lock in a pretty safe avenue. I'm thinking like somebody like, who would you like? Maybe I think Kirk Cousins, but we even have Cook, so I wouldn't want to pair that. Maybe Garoppolo.
Yeah, dude. I mean, again, like we got Kittle. I'm cool with the Garoppolo, and like I said, that could allow you to pivot your value play to Godwin if you wanted to. If you wanted to do the, you know, triple stack, double stack, whatever they call it. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm totally cool with that. Try to double dip. Hopefully, his touchdowns are to those guys. You already have like a little mini game stack deal going on here. I'm totally cool with that.
That leaves us with 7,400
in the flex,
and that would have us for the flex for either somebody like Nick Chubb, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Leonard Fournette, or Zach Ertz.
Ooh.
Who would you go with? I think Fournette is set for a bounce back year this year.
I do like Fournette, and Kansas City's defense not very good. I'm not worried about it. To me,
and you got to think. Let's just see it. Let's just play it game theory wise. How does Jacksonville win this game against KC? They slow the game down, right?
Play defense and run the ball. That's the only way.
Defense and run the ball with Fournette, right? That's the only way that they're going to keep the ball away from Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
So Fournette's got to eat, right?
Oh yeah. I'm with you. I am high on Fournette this year, especially in this
matchup. We just picked out a lineup. It's not really. I wouldn't say it's a GPP lineup. I think it's more of a cash lineup, just because there's not much stacking.
Right.
But you know, Jimmy G, Dalvin Cook, Kerryon Johnson, Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, John Brown, George Kittle, Leonard Fournette in the Seahawks D. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Just kind of like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put this in like a tournament right now and not even touch it and see what it does.
There you go. This is the nation right there. This the nation.
You know what I mean? To see what happens.
Dropping bombs on them.
You know what's funny is that it'll probably be the best lineup that we have week 1.
I know, dude. Like, it's funny how sometimes your first instincts were right all along. You do all the research and everything, the building up, and like obviously before week 1 comes, Joey's gonna be back in the cash game article. I'll be doing tournament articles, and you and Paulie will all have an article, some contribution. We're doing the actual DFS football podcast. We'll be doing the DFS Y streams for NFL. So we're going to be balls deep in NFL. But it's funny because by the time week 1 comes and we're balls deep in everything, like I'd say we're about waist deep right now. You know what I'm saying? But like pretty soon we'll be balls deep. As in balls when they're on your face deep. So like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes your first instinct was right all along. And when that happens, you're just like, damn, I'm a G. Like I'm an idiot for switching. But I'm a G, you know. So.
Well, paralysis by analysis, that's for sure. Sometimes, it happens a lot in baseball too, and you know it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
in
baseball, it's like, when we do our first look shows, sometimes like we just stayed with what we said on our first look. It was like we didn't try and overthink things. This is what it was.
This is what
we were looking.
Squad up.
You know?
Squad up.
So.
All right, Joe, this was fun, man. Appreciate you joining me for episode 5. Again, we're gonna maintain the Nation podcast, but definitely be talking a lot more football. Probably talking more about gambling in general as we get closer to the NFL season. Maybe even working some college football. It'll be fun, man. We'll do some picks every week for some against the spread picks every week and do some fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, man.
Sure.
I'm definitely excited for NFL. Just pumped. Joe, anything in closing before we get up out of here, bro?
Not much, man. It's the last week of the preseason, so just hopefully nobody gets injured.
Yeah.
And I am going to be going away next weekend for Labor Day weekend, so you're going to have somebody else hosting or as your co-host next week. But
There we go.
we'll be back in 2 weeks' time.
I like how Joey drops the news like on the show, like this is right there, just like. And this is a good time to tell you while we're live on the air that I will not be doing this show with you next week.
I'm gonna be in Bullhead City, knee deep in children's shit. So
That's awesome. All right, Joey, you have fun. I'll talk to you before then, I'm sure. And rest of you guys, appreciate you. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure you rock with us. If you're looking for a DFS, community, DFS content provider, if you're new to DFS, whatever the case is, come check us out at WiseTake.com. We will help you. We will show you the way. But come check us out. For Patio Joe, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
yeah.